You grew up in a small town in Illinois, and I was listening to what you were saying on your Mark Maron interview, and I identified a lot with that. I grew up in a town of 1,800 people on the Canadian border, and
Oh, yeah.
I was curious about whenever you go back, do you still identify with that place, and maybe as you've gone into the world, how much of that place is still within you?
Yeah, I have a sweet spot in my heart for hometowns that are, that are small, and I definitely enjoy going back to visit. But, I always felt like I didn't fit in there. And even when I go back now, I feel like I don't fit in there. But because I spent so much time there, it's just a kind of it's romantic to go back and to feel that angst of wanting to get out. I think I do it for about 5 days, and then I'm ready to leave.
Yeah, it's almost like you. It feels like a dream, like maybe it didn't happen, or such a far away place. Even though you can see on a timeline when you left and when you go back, but
Yeah, it's definitely surreal to go back and to see things change. And I feel like it just gets smaller and smaller, and more people move away, and more businesses close down, and so it's always changing, but usually not for the better.
yeah, like the my hometown, the half the town was either employed by the border patrol or for the local prison or the local pharmaceutical company. And once the pharmaceutical company left,
Right.
that pretty much killed the town. But
Yep. Yeah, that's how it is in our hometown. It's like there's a place called the General Machine and Grind, and they build farm parts. So it's like you either work there or you drive up to the cities, to the Quad Cities, to find work there, or you farm, or
when you were when you
stuff.
were there, was there a time where you thought maybe you would just kind of blend into the landscape, or you always had a plan to get out?
I think I always knew I wasn't going to stay there. I mean, when I was really young, I told my mom I wanted to live in the backyard in our little tree house, a little playhouse we had that out back, and she laughed. I think she always knew I would move.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think I kind of always had that in the back of my head. And I didn't know what I wanted to do if I, thought I'd be an actress or something. And the answer, I always knew I wanted to be on stage. I just didn't realize I would be doing music.
Yeah, when I was in high school, I thought my ticket out was to become an MTV VJ, and then when I took off for college, TRL stopped.
Right? I was just saying that. I can't believe that nobody has, revived the, music videos. I mean, I guess, CMT plays music videos or something, but I don't know. I mean, MTV was so revolutionary. And so I remember, we didn't have cable, but I would go over to my friend's house, or, my grandma had cable, and I'd go watch MTV over there. It
Oh,
was, my little, bubble into, what was going on in the world.
oh yeah. I mean, we used to get off the school bus and run to my friend's house at 3:30 to catch TRL. But
Yeah.
I wanted to be Carson Daly.
And now look at him. Aren't you glad you're not?
Yeah, yeah. But it was always that thing of just trying to. I didn't know what the heck I wanted to do, but I wanted to get out. I didn't want to be. My father was a prison guard and a border agent, and when I got
Oh,
out,
my God, really?
yeah, he actually was at Attica when the riots happened in the 70s.
Attica State. I
Yeah,
love that John Lennon song about that.
he.
John, you-
I remember being in high school, going into college, and he was like, you should take the civil service exam and work on the border. And I was like, I don't want to do that. Everyone in my high school is doing that. I want to go do something else, but I didn't know what the hell it was.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it's scary, too, when you're like, no, I'm not going to, go with the flock of sheep. I'm going to be the black sheep that,
yeah,
that wanders off on its own. And I was like, why are they not with the herd? What are you doing?
yeah.
It's rebelling.
Well, what's
Well, we probably have all sorts of, prison stories from him.
Oh, it's just it's weird when I go back because people are like, "What do you mean you're a writer? What the hell is that?"
Yeah. It's about like being a musician. You do a lot of cool work, but sometimes you don't even make that much money for it.
Yeah, yeah. Do people is your town aware of what you've been up to? I mean, I would assume in a small town word spreads like wildfire about anything for good or ill, but
Totally. I think like a year ago they thought I was a millionaire. And I'm like, nope, still not. People don't buy music anymore. If it was the '90s, I would be a millionaire.
what is it? Oh, sorry.
They know there's like, oh, it's cool. They had a little thing for me at the city hall, and they presented me with this like plaque with all my accolades on it, and it was really, really sweet. The local paper came and interviewed me, and then they're putting up a sign actually, so when you enter the town, it's going to say home of country star Margo Price.
What is it about that style of music that just separates it from other genres for you? What is it about singer-songwriters slash, I guess you could, country? I don't want to pigeonhole it, but what is it about that style that just speaks to you?
You know, I just always loved the stories of it, and I think, you know, country, it is blues, is gospel, is, you know, all those things kind of together, you know, even rock and roll. It's like there's just the roots of it really is not that far off. But I think the best thing about it for me is just the ability to tell an entire story in 3.5 minutes. There's something that's always been so appealing.
Well,
so much that, you know, you can write what's between the lines without ever even having to say it.
There's something so staggering about it. It's the music of the human condition, you know?
Right, right.
Well, what is the biggest misconception about Margo Price?
I think lately it's like, and thank you for not doing this, it's like everybody wants to just talk about the narrative of my life. Where it's, I think that obviously that, you know, that is kind of what attracted people to my story, you know, that I'm an underdog, I've been working at it for so long, all these things went bad, turned my life around, that, you know, that kind of positive thing. And while, yes, I think that's, you know, a huge part of my identity, I think that sometimes the music gets overlooked in a way that it's like the music is good, but, you know.
It's got to be like a dead horse at some point to keep just hammering away at it.
I'm just like, yeah, because, well, and, you know, people are getting introduced to me who've never heard me before, so I get it. Like, it's something to talk about that people can relate to, you know, loss and grief and pain. But it is, sometimes it can be, sometimes I don't feel like talking about it.
Yeah.
most of the time it's completely fine, and I've, like, grown a little bit desensitized to it all. You know, it's like every now and then I'll be having, like, a really tender day, and I'll cry, but most of the time I can just talk about it, and, you know, just like a regular question, like, did you graduate high school? Yes, I did. It's a fact. It happened.
How has that spotlight affected you? I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing, but, you know, being asked questions, the same questions every day, and I know it's part of the gig, but how has it affected you to see this kind of, like, be careful what you wish for thing? Are you where you want to be? Are you happy?
Yeah, I am. I mean, I just have to remember back to the days when I had nobody coming to the show, and I would go pick up the local paper, and there would be no mention that we were in town, and, you know, we'd driven 500 miles to get there, and reading about everybody else. Like, how do you get in these papers and these magazines? So, you know, I'm definitely appreciative of it, and it's been a beautiful change. And usually, if I don't feel like talking about something, I'm really good at, like, directing the conversation to something else.
Yeah.
And argue like a lawyer, you know.
It's well, I guess my final question is, you know, you're a touring musician and you create and you interact and you perform. I was curious about what has that life in music taught you about what it means to be a human being? That's a heavy question. I'm sorry about
that. Oh no, that's all right. It's a great question. You know, I think to be human is to feel pain and to go through this existence, always wondering why we're here. But the nice thing about music is you get to spread, you know, all those feelings and experience those feelings with everybody every night, and hopefully they take away something from it. And I think, you know, even when I'm performing, I always joke with the audience that it's like I'm going through a mini therapy session with everybody, because I get to talk about my problems and the things I've been through, and, you know, laugh and relate, and enjoy their company.
Well, it shows you, you know, I think one of the things I love about writing about music and interviewing musicians is that it just shows you with the live performance setting how in such an era right now where everyone has to quote unquote pick sides and whatever, that music really shows you just how much in common we have with each other.
Yeah, it's true. It's like the political climate right now is it's so daunting. You know, every single day you pick it up and everybody's up in arms. Everybody's unhappy and fighting, and it's a hard world to share with a child, you know, because they pick up on it too, regardless of whether you talk about it or not. They even know what's going on.
Are you optimistic about the future?
There's just no other way to be.
Yeah.
I've been through, you know, worse things personally before and got through them. So definitely, I think everybody's got to do everything we can to make the world not so shitty.